Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today, well, this isn't particularly vintage, but I was giving it as junk. We've got that. We've got that as well. What we've got here, this is one of these G-Tech cordless floor sweepers, and I was up at a friend's house the other day. And as I was leaving, he said, "Oh, could I throw this in the bin for him?" And I were a bit, okay. Apparently what happened is it stopped working. He was actually going to ask me to take a look at it, but as it was Father's Day and everything coming up, one of his kids actually just bought him a brand new one. So this was basically going for the bin, and said, well, if it's going for the bin, do you mind if I take it? So I've got myself a free G-Tech floor sweeper. It's quite a handy little thing for just just tidying up the living room floor and what have you, and getting underneath the sofas. I do have a similar kind of floor sweeper, but mine's a carded one. Obviously, this being cordless, it's a little bit more modern. I don't know what's wrong with it. Apparently, he just says it won't do anything. It won't charge. It won't switch on or anything. So first thing I think we better do, we'll have a look at the charger. We'll get you zoomed in. We'll get you down a little bit as well. There we go. So I've no experience with these things at all. I've repaired a couple of G-Tech batteries for like hedge trimmers and stuff like that, but I've never done anything with like a G-Tech. In fact, the contact down there looks a little bit bent. It couldn't be anything as simple as that, could it? That contact down there looks like it's bent down in comparison with that one. Anyway, let's see if we've got any voltage coming out of this, and let's see if we can perhaps just bend that up. It does look like it's bent down a little bit. I've got no LEDs or anything on it to show that it's working, but let's grab a multimeter and see if we've got any voltage coming out of it. EcoCharge G-Tech. Let's have a quick look, see what voltage it should be giving out. Charger input 100 to 240 volts. Charger output 10 volts at an amp. Right, okay. So let's get the old meter in. Oh, good there, aren't we? It's marked a plus and a minus. There, 10.5 volts, so yeah, it's outputting the correct voltage. Let's just have a look at that contact there, because it just does look like it's kind of like bent down in comparison with the other one. Get a see if I can just yeah, it looks like that. That's like a springy contact on that side, and that's like all floppy on that side. Couldn't be anything that simple. There's just a broken contact there, could it? Let's, we'll unplug that and we'll just have a quick look at that first, because that's definitely not right. Let's see if we can get that open with. That should do. Right, there we go. Let's have a look inside this thing. Be curious to see how it's built anyway. Right, so I've got a little switch mode power supply there, and the spring clips seem to be, well, that just feels loose. That's actually what gives it its weight. It's got actually a metal weight in there, but that contact feels loose. Let me see if I can. Let's try that now. It still feels, it doesn't have the same springiness as the contact on that side. So let's take it out and have a quick look at it, because it might have just be a broken contact. I mean, I could be clutching at straws here. This might actually be what's wrong, but it don't look. Let's pull the other one out, making sure we know which side which one goes. So this one is the one that's closest to the power card there, because it would be a bit of a pain. It would be fun if we got them mixed up, wouldn't it? I don't think the battery in the G-Tech would like it. Right, let's get that one out. Let's just compare them. Yeah, it's like got all bent out of shape. The that one there. I wonder if we can perhaps just get a bit more shape back into it. See if we can get it looking a bit more like the other one. There, that's a bit more like it. That looks a little bit more as it should be. Yeah, let's try that. It's going to be a silly repair if that's all that was bloody wrong with it, but that was definitely bent out of place. Come on, out you come. And I don't know if it's got an LED or a light or something actually on the sweeper itself that indicates that it's actually charging. I did briefly try it before I started making this video and plug it all up and stick it on the charger, and nothing lit up on the floor sweeper at all. So oh no, it goes in that little groove, I think. Make sure you get the wires back where they actually come from when you're messing about with something like this. That's the weight that gives it some stability. Right, let's put that back together. Okay, there we go. So I feel that contact now. That looks better. That's now matching. So those both match now. I said that one looked a bit pushed down before. Right, let's plug that back in. And I believe what you do, this literally just sits on its charger to, in fact let's get that handle out of the way, because that might make playing about with this thing a bit easier. I'll put that out of harm's way. clips onto the charger like that. But we're getting absolutely nothing coming. Can you get you zoomed out a little bit so you can see what's going on? Yeah, it has got a light on it, a charge light there. It's doing nothing. I've got that. Got two contacts up there that those two things touch onto, and they're touching onto it, but we're getting nothing on that charge light there at all. So, and we know we've got voltage. In fact, let's just double check we've still got voltage coming out of there since we've played with it. You never know when manipulating the wires whether something's come off as we've put it back together, so we better just check that again. Yeah, there we go, that's 10.5 volts. So we know the charge is outputting the correct voltage. So I'm guessing our fault is actually in the sweeper itself. Now, yeah, there we go. It uses our old friend, the 18650. Let's get this battery pack disconnected. Let's get that piece of foam out so we can actually get down there. Yeah. There we go. So there's our battery pack. Let's have a look, see if we've got any actual charge in that. It could be as simple as we've got a bad pack. Let's see if we've got any power in there. So, fortunately everything's nicely marked up on this. That black is our negative, the red's the positive. Those be our charge wires, and that's the ground for the charging. Put that on ground. This should be around about 7.5 volts or so if it's working. And that battery is dead. We've got, on the entire pack, we've got under a volt there. Now, interesting, I wonder what, I don't know if we're going to get anything out of this, but let's just see. If I put that on the charger like that, do we get any voltage coming off the charge wires there? Now, the end one I think should be something there. So we've got something on the pins in there, but I don't know how intelligent the actual charger is here. But what I do know for absolute certainty is that a battery pack like that won't charge. This is, what is it rated at, this? 7.4 volts. That pack is shot, basically. So let's crack that open and let's have a look inside it, and hopefully we may well be able to rebuild this battery pack. I will very, very gently just cut open the heat shrink that they put around these things, and let's have a look what battery cells they've actually used in here. In fact, what we can do is we can test each individual cell. Let's say each individual, we've only got two of the things. Right. That's our ground point there. So let's get the meter in and let's just see what these batteries have got on them. Right, let's just have a check here. Yeah, I've got half a volt on that one, and we've got half a volt on that one. So I'm pretty sure those batteries are dead. They're not going to charge. So what I will do, I'll just go into my stocks and I'll see what I've got that I can replace those two batteries with. So back in a sec. Right, okay, I've had a rummage through my stocks and I've got a couple of reclaimed 18650s here. I've got a big box of old laptop batteries, and basically whenever I need some 18650s I just go and pillage some out of those and test them. And generally speaking, in old battery laptop packs, it's usually only like 1 or 2 cells that have actually failed, and obviously the battery pack's then completely useless. But the rest of the cells in there are, generally speaking, fine. I've been collecting them for some time. I've always had the notion of building myself an e-bike. I've actually got a bike which I'm planning to do it with, and I've been slowly collecting parts over quite some time, so I want to build it as cheap as humanly possible. And I'll be using a lot of these cells in that, but like I said, I do have some that I've already stripped out of laptop batteries, and these should be fairly good cells. We'll just we'll test. I think it's that positive and negative. I can never remember on them 18650s. Really, you want them just sat like this to have at least 3 volts in them. These were probably charged up well over 12 months ago. That's the last time I split one of those packs up to recover some cells. These are just a couple that are left over from that. Essentially what I do is I break the cell open to the pack open to recover the cells, test them. Any which are over like 2 volts I will put to one side. Any that are under 2 volts go straight in the bin. The ones that are under 3 volts I will basically trickle charge and see if I can get them to get up to just over 3 volts without getting hot. If they'll do that, then they go in the same pile with the ones that are just over 3 volts, and I use it then basically I stick them on it's a copy, but it's a fake IMAX B6 charger. Because you can charge and discharge them on that, and it'll do lipos and all different batteries. Any that pass that test and have got a reasonable capacity, obviously I can pass for use. So that's what's basically been done to these probably a couple of years ago now, and they've been in storage. So let's just see what kind of voltage they've actually got on them. That's good. That's still got 3.6 volts on it, so these run what, about 4.2 volts when they're fully charged, don't they? You can go up to 4.5 volts on them, but I generally try and keep them around the 4.2 range. So that one's alright. Let's have a look at this one. Same 3.6. So we've got two good cells there we can use as replacements. So let's have a look how this is all done up. So we've got that one that way around, and then we've got that one that way around like that, because obviously we're using these at 7.2 volts that the pack actually runs them at in series. So basically all we've got to do is take the wiring off this and transfer it over onto those cells there. We've also got a little thermocouple there for temperature sensing, or a thermal fuse or something, which obviously we will want to retain. There's this little thermal fuse or something. Oops, you stay here. So we can cut that wire off there and reuse that. And we'll cut those tabs off there and we can reuse them. So we've got our positive. Alright, so those aren't for balance charging, those two green wires. They actually go to that thermocouple up there. That's quite interesting. Right, okay. Interesting. So it seems to it's quite a well put together battery anyway. Right. We will need to cut these tabs off here. That's the negative tab. And cut these off the old batteries. So that's the negative there. The positive is the one that goes to the side that's got the little dimple on it, just round the edge. We'll cut that one off. Like that. That's our positive and our negative. Pull them out, there's the little sensor. It'd be really nice actually, we could pull that entire thing off the back of that battery there and we can transfer it straight. In fact, I should have done that with the other tabs. We'll see if we can just peel this off the old batteries. It's just spot welded on. It might break off, but let's give it a try. Oh no, it just broke off, but never mind, we got it off. Right, so that's the old pack there. And we need to solder this. In fact, what I might do is just put a bit of tape around them to hold them together. It'll make soldering this together a little bit easier, I think. Make sure that those are close enough onto each other, like that. Put a bit of tape around them just to hold them. Oops. There we go. And cut that off. That'll just help keep them together while we're soldering it all. And that's how they're going to be in the new pack anyway. Right, so what we're going to have to do is put a piece across there. I should have put that thermocouple on first really, shouldn't I? Because that could have gone on. Let's have a... Yeah, that'll work. I'll pass them through there. That'll hold the thermocouple where it needs to be. Then that will need to be soldered to there like that. That one will need to be soldered to there like that. And then we need to make a connection across the back there with that soldered to it. Right, we've got a plan. Now what we need is some fairly stout wire to do this with. Just bear with me a second folks and I'll just find some wire which is going to be suitable. Right, I went and had a fertile in the shed and I've got a bit of solid coiled copper just out of a piece of twin and earth here. This should be ideal actually, because what we can do with this, I'm going to cut a piece off about that long should do, and we'll give it a scrape. We want this really nice and clean copper. It should be fairly clean because I've just, like I said, I've just stripped it out of a piece of scrap twin and earth. What we can do with that, we can basically shape it. So we've got a little tab that's going to come up and connect to that point there. We'll bend that over like that, and squeeze that together, and then we can come across like that, across like that, so that will sit kind of like that, and then chop that off there. We'll go in kind of like that, and we do the same on this side, so we've got a bit too much there. Put that off, so roll that round like that, and we've basically just made something we can solder on there like that, which will connect those two batteries. Excellent. Right, what we'll do is we'll add a little bit of solder to that before we start. Let me get you zoomed in a little bit so you can see a bit closer what I'm doing. There we go. Sometimes I forget that you can't look any closer until I make you look closer. Right, there we go. I'll tin this up. Still got that nice big bit on my iron from doing that Nixie tube, so that's useful. That's just what we need for this. Yep. Some solder on that we've made. There we go. And this is the bit I don't like doing, but we've got to basically solder the ends of these batteries. Let me see if I can get this so it holds. There we are. Basically it holds the batteries exactly as we want them. They're nice and steady like that. I've just got them wedged in that piece of insulating tape. We've got our bit we've just made, we're going to solder on, and what I want to do is just tin up the ends of the batteries there. Now this is not as dangerous as it may seem, but it's still a little bit risky. You are soldering to the end of an 18650 cell. I would never ever recommend doing this, by the way, with an absolutely fully charged cell. These are charged, as in they've got a reasonable voltage in them, but they are not fully charged. They're not at like 4.2 volts. All we're doing, I'm just using this blade just to very lightly rough up the surface of the battery. Like that. We'll take a little bit of flux and just a tiny touch. A little bit on there, little bit on there. Now I've got the iron cranked up as high as it'll go, so the iron is currently at 480 degrees C. I've got a nice big thermal mass on my iron. That's the biggest tip I've got. Oh, it's not the biggest tip, I've got one bigger, but I think that is a little bit too big. So that's a fairly big tip on the end of the iron. Let me just make sure that's tight there. Yes, it is. And what we want to do, we'll start with this one, is basically in. There we go. As quick as that. And we've just tinned the end of the battery there with a little bit of solder. We'll do the same to the other side. There we go. Like I said, as quick as that. Now we'll just give it a minute. We don't want to overheat the batteries at all. That's that's the worst thing that can possibly happen. So we'll just give those. We'll just give those a second to cool back down. In fact, that's fine now. Like I said, I can keep my finger on there. Okay, so next step basically, we'll take that little piece that we created, and I'll stick that on top of the battery there. And this is basically, so we've got that's pre-tinned and the battery's pre-tinned. Make sure we get it in exactly the right place, and just very gently, and that's it. Okay, that's that side connected. This one where we've tinned is just slightly off from where I originally put that. We're just going to have to slightly reposition the battery. Probably the fact that we've got them held in there actually. Let's just straighten them up slightly. It's a lot easier now that one of them's actually connected and being held in place. It's not as bad now. We can probably hold it like that. Make sure we've got that as close to there as we can. In fact, what we can do, we'll just bend that round a little bit. I just want it a little bit closer to where I actually tin the battery. I'll just hold it like that basically. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. We'll take the iron, just bring it in. There we go. Just hold that until it's solidified. Okay, there we are. So we've got a good connection on both of those. We've got a decent solid piece of wire connecting between the two. Let's have a look at this this wire from the we didn't actually go to that thermocouple, it was just stuck to it. So that goes right down to there, so it is to do with the charging. Let's strip this bit of heat shrink off. Okay, we can just clean that up. There we go. I'll slide that down there. And we will solder that. There we go. So that's basically soldered exactly as it would have been in the original pack. It's just we've made a little bridge at the end rather than the original one, which is that there. We've just made it like that, so it's basically exactly the same thing. That ground point comes off in the same place. All we've got to do now, let's turn this round. In fact, we can stick that thermocouple, or a thermal sensor, a thermal fuse, whatever it is. And try to just make sure I keep the wires in the right orientation as well. Right, so it should be that way around. And to keep everything as close to as it was when we started as we can. And we put that thermocouple or thermal fuse or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, down in there. In fact, we can put another piece of tape around there and that'll hold them in place. So let's do that. Should have really tested to make sure that that's got continuity. At least that's if it does have continuity. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure whether it's a thermal fuse or what it is. Right, we can solder that onto there, and that one onto there, and that's basically all we need. So what we need to do exactly what we did before. Put this back in here to hold it, and on that side there we need to clean it up. So that's where we're going to solder to. Just rough it up with the Stanley blade. The same on that bit there. Then we'll put a tiny drop. Oops! We'll put a tiny drop of flux on, like that. There we go, that's one. There we go, that's two. Right, next thing we need to do is basically we want to, now we could actually, yeah, we can probably solder the wires straight onto them rather than use these little bits of tab there. It might be safer actually. Let's cut this heat shrink off. Yeah, we'll take that off there, and we'll just put the we'll just solder the wire straight on. So that goes straight onto there like that. We can do it nice and quick. There we go. Hold it nice and steady just while it goes off. And that one's in nice and secure. Take that off there. Pop that off there. We should be able to just solder that again, exactly like we just done with the other side. But as quick as we can. There we go. And that's that on there. Good. It's always a slightly nervy thing soldering to these 18650s, because they do have basically a hell of a lot of energy stored up inside them, or the potential for a hell of a lot of energy stored up inside them. Right, what we can possibly do is put those, I might just wrap it all in tape. I'm not sure yet what would be the best way to make it look neat and tidy. Let's try. Oops. This is a nice stretchy insulation tape, so it should be ideal. Let's get that round there like that. There we go. Pull that round. Oops. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing there, can you? I'm just trying to get the battery pack into a state where we can just give it a quick test on there, see what voltages we've got coming out, and then we can finish off making it look like neat and tidy. Right, let's have a look, just make sure that that has actually got about 7 volts or so coming out of it, and we've actually got it wired up so positive is positive and negative is negative, because that would be slightly embarrassing if I've got it that the wrong way around. Right, okay, there's the meter. that is our negative connection there. That should be our positive there. And we've got 7.26 volts coming out there. That's perfect. We should have... Right, that should be right then. That's excellent. I'll just quickly finish off wrapping this up, and then we will put it back into the G-Tech and see what it actually does. So back in a sec. Right, okay, and there we go. Now, I wasn't actually expecting to be able to do that, but I actually managed to squeeze it back into the original heat shrink, and the only thing you can really tell is that line of tape down the back which is holding it together. I'll get you zoomed out. Oops, that's in. I'll get you zoomed out. Right. And we will try it between us, because I'm not actually... That can go in the bin now. Put that in the bin. Well, in the dead component bin. It will get fished out and then taken down to Aldi next time I go and dropped in their battery recycling box. Right. We will try just plugging it in and see if we've got any... Is that off or on? You can't really tell, so this might fire straight up as soon as we plug it in. I'm not sure. Let's just be a bit careful connecting it up. Well, hopefully that's off, or it's completely dead. Let's put that in there. I'll try putting the back on. That's not right. Seems to sit in there okay. For some reason the thing won't seem to snap shut. Oh, there we go. It's gone in. I've still got that phone to go in, so is it going to do anything? There we go. Right. Now, does this tell us whether it's charging or not? That's the question. Let's try sticking that. Check that out. We've got a red light. So I'm guessing red light means it's charging, because we were getting absolutely nothing before, were we? Right, so like I say, I'm guessing that means that it's charging. What I'll do is I will leave it charged. In fact, what I'll do is we'll take it back off. Let's see if we can actually get that piece of... In fact, let's just feel the battery. That's stone cold. I wouldn't expect it to have got hot yet, but you want to check. That went in there, didn't it? And then the battery sat on top of it like that. And that went on. There we go, that's better. Right. What I will do, I'll put that on there. I will leave this to charge for a bit, and we'll see if that light goes green or goes off or what have you, and we'll see if it works. So back in a sec. Right, okay. It's actually the following day. I left it charging overnight. As you can see, we have a green LED lit there, so it has fully charged. What it does, I noticed it was red at first, and after a couple of hours it actually went to like an orange amber colour, and I left it another couple of hours and it was still that colour, so I'll leave it overnight. Anyway, I left it overnight and it has gone green, so it's looking like it's charged fine. We'll lift that off the charger. We feel the battery. It's not got hot or anything. Actually, the battery is now stone cold, so it's obviously finished its charge cycle quite a while ago. But yeah, there we go. Oops. Could do with a little bit of a clean up. These rollers are jammed. Oh no, they are moving, but I could do with perhaps sorting the rollers out, sorting some of this hair out. I think this is mostly Alfie, my friend's little dog. I think that's what's got wrapped round there, but I'll sort the bits out like that. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Not bad for a freebie that was heading for e-waste. And all it needed was a couple of new batteries. Let's give it a quick. We'll take it in the living room and we'll give it a quick test. So let's do that anyway. Right, we've gone handheld now. Let's have a try of this thing. There we go. I don't think that even the dog doesn't mind it too much. It's actually really, really quiet for what it is. Yeah, I can. This is what I wanted it for, so I can just like, you know, do not a full hoover or anything, but if I just need to do a little bit of a sweep up. That actually works really, really, really well. Just a little bit of muck there. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. So that's it, that's the G-Tech floor sweeper repaired. Yeah, like I said, I'm really quite pleased with that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I know it was something a little bit different, so hopefully next time we'll be doing something with some vintage computing stuff again. I hope you enjoyed that then, so thanks for watching and goodbye.